Hey guys, Driven to Compete here. Hopefully you're having a great weekend. It's Sunday, and as always on the weekends, we're always trying to do something car oriented. I've got this garage, and I tell all my friends and family, if you need help, give me a call. So today, little bro isn't very little, but say hi to YouTube.
How you doing?
So today's project, he's got this WRX, and of course it's probably the most popular color that they do. And what we're going to do today is, he said he wants to sound cool, so he bought a blow-off valve here from Go Fast Bits. We're going to go ahead and install it. Okay, so we've got the car in the air, and first thing you need to do is you have a plastic pan. I'm going to show you right here. You've got this plastic pan, and they tell you you have some hardware here. It's actually 12 millimeter, or you can use a screwdriver. I would recommend 12 millimeter. And then they have a bunch of these here. If you've never watched one of my other videos, whoops, dropped that screwdriver. These are pretty simple. You're going to pull this down, and it just simply releases. So not hard at all. Whoops, there you go, you have that. We're gonna go ahead, and these are pretty simple as well. We're gonna put the drill on there and we're gonna back it off. So if you don't have, listen, I'll show you what I'm using here. If you don't have one of these guys, you really need to get one, because these things are fantastic. So I'm gonna go ahead and get on that. There you go. Over here. And drop that down. Okay, so we've got the pieces removed. There's quite a few. And what we realized is, let me see if I can shoot it for you. There's going to be one up inside the wheel well as well that you're going to need to get to. So when you're all said and done, what we did here was, I'll show you what we're doing. We're putting all of our stuff in a magnetic tray here, even though there's plastic, but just to hold it. So you've got quite a bit of hardware that you're going to need to take out just to get to that, to get this pan loose and down, to give yourself access to the engine compartment. But I don't know if you can see that here, but he's gone ahead and he's pulled that one down that's on top. So that works. He's got one on this side yet. And then the pan will be down, and then we'll be able to show you the next step. So all I would say to you is be patient. If you have these clips that don't want to come out because of when you're prying on them, get yourself a pair of needle nose and pull on them a little bit. They'll come out. So there we go. You've got it down. Okay, so here you have it. Pan's down, and you can see that there's some spots that you have to hit, and there you can see it. But once it's down, it really opens it up for you. Let me show you here, so you can kind of really see that it gives you access to your to everything. And I believe we're going to be working on that side right there. So we'll go ahead and we'll show you the next steps in just a sec. Okay, so I'm going to show you here. We've gone ahead and we removed the pan that was underneath it here, just to give us a little bit more accessibility. They don't recommend you do that, but we need to be able to remove these two tubes here. And in order to do that, I wanted to have access. It's only 4, where were they? Where'd we screw into at here? Here. And here. And then there was 2 in back. Here and here. And the pan, where's the pan at? Okay, and I'll show you. That's what the pan was that was exposed. We went ahead, it was four bolts to give you room to be able to work. So our next step's to remove those 2 hoses that I pointed out to you, and we're going to disconnect the electrical here. Okay, so these just press on, actually. You don't have to remove the electrical. I was going to, but I would not recommend it. That just presses on. You just push it off. This is just press on as well. So you're going to remove those 2. And we're trying to gain access to this right here at this point. Okay, so the next step, there's a vacuum line here. Again, it just presses on. So I'm gonna let you see it. Right there it is. I pushed it off, and here's my recommendation. Right, I love making life easier. So put a pair of needle nose, if you have them, and grab it and just forcibly remove it there. And basically, what we're gonna do next is take this loose and begin to remove. And then we've got a clamp here too. We'll go ahead and we'll show you the next steps here in just a sec. Okay, so I recommend an 8mm and a pair of adjustable pliers there. And I'll tell you why. Because you have to take this valve right here, right? And it calls for a straight screwdriver. You're not gonna get to it. So I'm going to use the 8mm, right, wrench to get on it and turn it. Okay? Okay, I'm gonna go the other way. Loosen it up. Let it make life a little easier for yourselves. You can see it's loose now. And then you're gonna use the pliers. And I'm gonna use these to squeeze. Let me see if you can make that easier to see. But there's, there you go. You can see it. That's the type of clamp it's on it. You just squeeze it to open it to release it. Okay, so here's the update. We've got this guy right here. I'm moving it, and I'm trying to make it that you can see. Let me zoom in here once. See if you can. Okay, so there you go. You can see I squeezed it open. It's held itself. I'm going to go ahead and I've already loosened this one here, like I showed you before. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to remove this, and you can see if it's not enough space, I just turned it by hand. So we're gonna go ahead. I will warn you, don't do this while the engine's hot. That metal right there is extremely hot to touch still, but we're trying to keep this moving. We didn't want to wait to shoot the video. Anyway, we'll show you the next steps here in just a moment. Okay, so what we've done is we've pulled these two 10mm bolts. Once you do that, right, this is now loose. I've gone ahead and I've loosened this too, by the way, because this, so that this can move around. So you've already taken the clamp off up top here. So all you do is you pull this out and you pry down on it, and it will come off. And of course, I'm trying to do it one-handed. Once you shoot, stand back here. Go ahead and shoot the camera from back here. Yeah. I'll go ahead and I'll pull this down. See, I'm going to put my right hand up here. And I'm going to pull this down, and it should, once I get my hands on it here, it should. There you go. And I released the tube here so that it would give some freed movement. So that's now out of the way. Gives us full access to changing this out right here. And it should come out. May need to make that a little bit looser. Put the wrench on that again. Okay. It should come out with a little twisting here. There we go. I would recommend you give it a turn. If you turn it while you're pulling on it, it does release. So there you have it. There's the old unit. Now we're going to go ahead and we'll start shooting how to install the new unit. So this little guy right here, in the instructions here, it talks about adjusting the spring preload, and they recommend a softest spring setting is achieved 3mm when this right here is sticking up approximately 3mm. Now, they tell you how to adjust it. Yeah, they do recommend you do it once it's in the car, obviously, so you can hear it running, and they talk about the operation. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to install it, and we're going to go ahead and show you the steps to install, and we'll worry about adjusting this after we're finished. So this just reinstalls the same way it came out. You just press this in. Now I want to point out to you, there's a ring right here. I'm going to zoom in so you can see this better. Okay, do you see this piece right here? You can turn it by hand. It has a couple turns from stop to stop. Okay, so if you turn it the whole way clockwise, okay, it's going to be the quietest setting. If you turn it counterclockwise the whole way, and something like 3 turns, it's the loudest. So he has said he wants it adjusted to be the loudest so you can hear it. So I've gone ahead and I've turned it as far as it will go counterclockwise. And we're going to go ahead, we're going to tighten this clamp. It's still loose. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to work on, before I put this back together, I still have a vacuum line up top here I need to reattach. Let me see if I can get you to see that better. There you go. There's a vacuum line up here that needs to be reattached. You can see that. And I want to make sure I have this, before I tighten this down, I want to make sure I have the angle just right, because, you know, this is the time now to turn it and adjust it. So I'm going to probably turn it down to give me access to the, to hook up the vacuum line first, and then I'll turn it, get it square, and show you the next step. So they're saying that if it's a modified car and you have this completely open for most loud noise, it could cause backfire and such. His is not modified. I'll turn it slightly just to give him a little safety factor there. I've hooked the vacuum line up. I've left this loose again so that we can turn it to line it up when I put this back together. So that's going to be the next step here. Lining this up. You on?
Yep.
Okay. Start by lining this up and getting that in place. So that clicked. Tells me it's where it needs to go. And I believe this, was that above or below? Do you remember? I'm going to leave it below, I think, for now. And we're going to line this up. This has shielding on it to tell me that it's there to protect it from heat. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to line that up. I'm going to reassert the 2 screws here and on the other side, and then we can show you the next step from there. Okay, so I've gone ahead and reattached the hose, tightened these up. Hey, listen, these don't need to be super tight. I was on them, got them. You can feel it when the bolt stops drawing in tight. You snug it up really solid. Don't over tighten it. This guy here is still loose. Put this back together. And this guy up here, I want to start tightening, but if you notice, I turned it so that I can get on it now with a screwdriver straight on to tighten this up, because it's now easily accessible. Before this was pointed up here where my finger is, you couldn't get on it. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And if you notice here, I did the same thing here. I have this so I can easily get on it with a screwdriver to tighten it down. Okay, so this is tight. Clamp up here is tight. I reinserted everything. I tightened the clamp back here, and I've gone ahead and I put these back on. Now, before we button it up, right, because they talk about accessing this from above to adjust to adjust your blow-off valve. We're not going to do that. We're going to leave all this off. We're on a lift. We're going to go ahead and we're going to start the car up. We're going to test it and adjust it, because I can have easy access, as you can tell from there, with I think it's an Allen wrench key. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to put the car down, and we'll see how the car sounds when you rev it. They talk about that, and I'll explain all that to you here in a moment. Okay, so now we have the car down on the ground level. They tell you to turn the AC off. Car should be warm. It's already warm. You're supposed to start it up, give it a good hard rev. Valve should blow off and close before the revs drop down to idle. If the valve stays open and blows off for too long and it's still open when the revs drop back down, the engine will stumble. They tell you if that's the case, you adjust that center screw, positive direction, and I'll show you how to do that if we need to do that. And then, you know, they tell you, we can also hear how loud it is as well when he does that. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to start the car. Go ahead, start the car. All right, go ahead and rev it. That sounded pretty good. Go ahead and do it again. Okay. So, it doesn't sound like it's stumbling. It actually sounds pretty good. I'm half tempted to soften it up a little bit and see if we can go a little bit better adjustment. So let's go ahead and shut the car off, and we'll go back up on the lift here, and I'm going to make a couple turns to soften that up just a tad bit. I'll show you how you do that. We're back up on the lift. Here's how you adjust that, how long that valve stays open. If you go counterclockwise, it softens it up, leaves it open longer. Clockwise shortens that. So right here's where I had it when I had backed it out a little bit. They recommend up to 3 millimeter. I'm gonna do I'm gonna do a turn literally that far. It's not a lot, but I'm gonna adjust it just a tad, and we're gonna try it one more time here. Everything works out. The next part of the video we'll show putting the pan back on. Okay, so we're gonna have them start the car again. Go ahead and rev it. One more time. Okay, so you can hear the sound of the blow-off valve, and it's right before it starts to come down on rev, you can hear it shutting. And I think that's probably where we want it to be at for right now. Obviously, the more mods you have on the car, the more adjustment you might need to do to it, but I'm pretty happy with it. He needs to take it out and drive it. I think we're gonna do that before we put the belly pan back on. Okay, so Zach's back. Come on up on the lift. They square you up here. Come on up. You're fine. You're good. Okay. How did that sound? Any hesitation or stumble? None at all? Okay, so we're going ahead and we're going to put these two items back on, and we'll call it a day. To tighten setting, we're going to run them up in there nice and easy because it's all started. Alright, so it's all lined up. I'm just going to hit it. And that's all there is to it. Now we're going to put the plastic piece back in. Go ahead and I'll grab that a while. But go ahead and there we go. Start with the front. And then there's a latch there. Walk in here. And then that will hold itself so you can grab some clips. Can you see everything? Can you see everything? You can see everything? When you're shooting?
Yeah.
Okay, so all we're gonna do, these guys all press. Okay, so my recommendation, once you have it in place, you want to make sure it's hooked in the front here first, and then I would put your 2 screws in, just get them started to hold this in place so that you can start putting the clips back in. And I would start with like this one here and work your way around. You do have to make sure you get the ones that are in the wheel wells early, so make that one of the first ones you do. Okay folks, so there you have it. It's all back together, and you know, hopefully if you have to do this on the ground, you're using a jack stands, you know, and take your time. Yeah, that would be my suggestion. Okay, so there you have it. Thanks for watching. Hopefully you found this helpful. What year is the WRX?
18.
Alright, so this is a video on the 18, but I'm sure the steps for the 15 on up are probably fairly similar. Hopefully you found this whole video helpful. As always, hit that subscribe button and the bell. That way you can stay up to date on the latest videos. With that said, have a great day. Thanks for watching. Watch, like, subscribe. Have a great day.